Thank you for joining us for the Radio Ranch with Roger Sayles. Press star 6 to mute or unmute, and if your line is locked, dial 941 to raise your hand. Welcome.
There are 7 participants in the conference. Goodbye.
Thank you for joining us for the Radio Ranch with Roger Sayles. Press star 6 to mute or unmute, and if your line is locked, dial 941 to raise your hand. Welcome.
There are 6 participants in the conference.
Well, we're a little light this morning. Morning, Paul.
Sleep there. Yes. Problems.
Well, Bruce is there. Bruce is one of the 6.
Morning, Roger. Morning, Paul.
Yeah,
All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Mm-hmm. All right. Wow. Happy Monday, Paul. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yikes. Okay.
Forward moving and focused on freedom.
You bet.
You're listening to the Global Voice Radio Network. This nerve stream is brought to you in part by MyMitoBoost.com. For support of the mitochondria like never before, a body trying to function without adequate mitochondrial function is kind of like running an engine without oil. It's not going to work very well. It's also brought to you by SnapPhat.com. That is SnapPhat.com. It's also brought to you by the Prife International Terahertz Frequency Wand through iTerraPlanet.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Chains that bind us, together we are strong. Tax the rich, feed the poor, tell their own rich no
Yeah, let's do it. Let's change this over. I think we can. We got the ammunition to do it. We just need all the accompanying manpower to help pull the trigger on that big thing. Good morning, Monday morning here. The 12th for Tom D. Tom, you listening? The 12th of January, almost at halfway through the first month. Boy, it has been I told you it's going to be a stem winder. It's just getting warmed up, too, I'm afraid. 112. Roger Sayles, your host. Radio Ranch, the label of our little get-together here 6 days a week. And this is a one day, or one of the few days, we don't have a whole lot of help in our pursuit. But if there is any, Paul Beener will know who they are. Because he's the one that hooked him up. Hey, Paul, good morning. Happy New Week.
Good morning, happy new week. Sorry, I didn't know my mic wasn't on all the time during the pre-roll in the beginning of the show. I was talking to you and explaining that we were having problems with some audio that I was able to sort out in the intro, so that's a good thing.
Okay.
We do have we have a better complement of assistance than we had last week. We're, of course, on Eurofolkradio.com, thanks to Pastor Eli James. We're on radio.globalvoiceradio.net. We're also on rumble.globalvoiceradio.net. We're on soapboxtv.net on the GVRN channel, Twitch, and we're on DLive. The Twitch and DLive channels are my personal channels, PG Beener, PGBIENER. Today we are also on the Home Network and Net Family suite of services. We have HomeNetwork.tv, FreedomNation.tv, GoLive TV, and StreamLife.tube.
Wow.
We might also be on 106.9 WBOU. I'm not exactly sure if we are, but I do know that Home Network is here and connected. Our website is thematrixdocs.com. There you will find links for new student resources, interviews, downloadable exhibits, and links to free conference calls so you can join us live on the show. Now it appears that all the gauges are correct, all the streams are healthy, and all the audio sounds fabulous.
Yippee, yippee.
So we're ready for a show today.
Ready for the guns. Well, one thing I know we had on the agenda, floated it past the football games over the weekend, was Miss Julie, and is going to give us an overview, a report, if you will. Supposedly, she said she would, on her 3-hour consultation with Mr. Willie, Jim Willie of Golden Jackass fame, fairly renowned in the alternative on her circles, let's say. Interesting fellow, to say the least, Mr. Willie. Good morning. What in the heck else has happened over the weekend? I don't know, because I didn't see much news. I don't. Maybe some of y'all can help me if anything's broke this morning. I didn't really hear about it. Rob Dew was sitting in for the lovely Brianna, and Rob Dew is very good on the air. I don't know if you've ever seen him over there when he fills in. Paul, have you seen him? You know who I'm talking about?
No.
He's the general manager of InfoWars, and occasionally they've got manpower shortages. They throw him on the air, and he does a very good job. Really does, for somebody who used to be in bands. He's a Jewish guy too. He's a real good guy. He's very good on the air. He's on top of everything, and I really enjoy it. Well, he was on this morning, so I was watching a little bit of that. Did we have any other shootings or killings or anything over the weekend that I didn't know about? I haven't heard about
I don't know.
anybody.
I've been out of pocket all weekend.
Everybody. Okay. Well, we don't know. We'll find out later on in the day as we go forward. But I do know one thing that came out is pretty interesting. Trump, it comes out, is investigating Jerome Powell. You know who Jerome Powell is, Paul?
Yeah.
Chairman of the Federal Reserve, right?
About time.
Well, yeah, it is about time. And I think, if I'm not wrong, it seems to me like Trump appointed him in his first term. Anyway, he's the head chairman of the Fed, and he's banging on him because he won't lower interest rates. Trump's trying to get interest rates lowered. He's a tool of the monetary powers, and he won't do it. And they tried to get one of the members thrown off. Remember, black gal that was on the board there for doing this house fraud that everybody else does, evidently. And they're going to hear, there's going to be a decision on the Supreme Court, but I think they delayed it until the first of this year, if I remember correctly. Anyway, she was on there, so they went after her, tried to get her off. They may still do that. And the real bone of contention, or the one that you're going after them on, is that they've redone the Federal Reserve building. Well, you know about this, Paul, right?
No.
You didn't, really. They're renovating the Federal Reserve building and have been for some years. And they are spending boo-coos of budget. Now, don't forget, Mr. Trump is a builder. Was his whole career. And I think I told this story. Remember Dr. Dave Janda? We haven't seen him too much in a few years. Does that name strike a bell with you, Paul? Dr. Dave Janda?
No, not really.
Who's he? He's an orthopedic surgeon from Ann Arbor. And years ago, when Reagan was in office, I'll get back to Trump and do me in a minute. Whole health care, Jerome Powell. He wrote some sort of an article on how to revamp the healthcare system where it would work, and they published it in D.C. And Reagan was in, and Reagan read it. And so this is one of the funny parts. He's still practicing, and his nurse comes in and says, "Dr. Janda, the president's on the phone." Hey, you can imagine that happening to you, right? You're just doing your whatever you're doing, and hey, the president's on the phone, and Janda goes, "No way, take a number." So Janda tells her to take a number to the White House just to see if he could call it back, and he did, and they answered. And it turns out Reagan was enamored over his article in revising the health care system, and flew him to Washington and met with him and all kind of stuff, and he got connections there, and over the years he just developed those connections, And so this was coming up, I don't know how many years ago, back around before COVID, maybe. Anyway, he retired and got a radio show. Dr. Janda, some of the audience knows what I'm talking about. He's very sharp, Paul. And so it turns out he tells this story. His father built some of the big buildings in Chicago. He was a big building contractor. And he was on a project with Trump. And Janda was a kid at that time. He was in high school. And he said, I can remember my father coming home and telling me, I've never worked with anyone in my entire life who has as many and as much attention to detail as Donald Trump. He just remembered that comment. Okay, so that gives you a little insight into who this guy is. And so back to the Federal Reserve and, what the hell's his name now? Jerome Powell. And Jerome Powell won't, Trump went over there about a year or so ago, maybe a little after he got elected. You don't remember that when he went over to the Federal Reserve? Well, they're doing this renovation over there, and it's cost billions of dollars to the point where on the roof they've got some sort of a river carved into stone where you can, and little cabanas and stuff around it and all this stuff that wasn't in the plans. It was just really cost overrun. No, I'm not kidding. And so now evidently Trump is investigating. It came out that Jerome Powell's being investigated. Trump tried to get him, badgered him a little bit about the cost overruns in the building and all that. It's been taking years. I don't know how much over it is. Well, it's probably more than one Somalian daycare center can steal in a year. Just to give you an idea, okay? And so anyway, that came out over the weekend. He's evidently still searching and having people do investigations on Mr. Powell. So he can go, because Powell says, I ain't quitting. Trump says, I'm going to fire you. He says, you can't fire me. And so Trump's looking for leverage on the guy, trying to get the interest rates lower, see if we can kick this economy in the ass before they take it over the cliff, basically. Okay. So anyway, that came out. I just heard some people allude to that this morning. Gosh, otherwise than that, honestly, it's just wild card weekend. I just watched a lot of football, sat in my lazy chair here and just relaxed with my mind somewhat off of the plethora. It's a veritable
Roger.
plethora. Hold on just a second, please. It's a veritable plethora, Paul, of events that we're enveloped in. And they just keep getting bigger. Also, on this Greenland thing, it turns out that they signed a treaty with Belgium back in the 50s so they could put military bases all over that island anywhere they wanted. So Belgium agreed to that decades ago. Now, was that Miss Julie that was voicing a good Monday morning message?
Might have been Sherry.
No, it's Sherry.
I'm sure you
I got
Julie
it. I
kind
nailed
of
it.
sound. You did. They kind of sound alike, Paul. You got to admit. Okay,
Yes, they
Sherry, what have you got? You got something on this Federal Reserve thing for us?
Yes, have you heard, about the Department of Treasury and percent stipulating now if you're on public assistance, no more overseas or no more foreign wire transfers.
Well, I have not heard that. I like that. The idea they were floating earlier, which I also thought was a good idea. This one may be better. Was taxing the what do they call those? What are they? Remittances. They're called remittances. The remittances it tallies up to a pretty tidy sum from what I've heard in the past. Can't give you the dollars and cents, but it was shocking to me how much is being sent out of the country every month with the remittances. But
And how would they enforce that?
I don't know. I mean, they'd have to go. I just don't know. It was just an idea that was floated. I thought it was a good idea. This one may be better because that'll shut them off totally. Now they'll go back to their families instead of sending their labor back to them untaxed.
Right. Well, a bunch of it goes to Mexico, and
I'm sure.
what they're trying to shut down now is Somalia. The transfers to Somalia.
Well, they don't need to go
Because of
much
fraud.
further than the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport.
That's true.
Have you seen those
Hey,
reports?
I heard enough.
Harry,
No.
You heard those reports?
Okay, go ahead.
You haven't? This is a
No.
woman that was the TSA woman for years. Somalians traveling always in pairs, both males, would come through with suitcases with millions of dollars in them. And they'd just run them right through the scan, and they'd pull them off in a room and ask them some kind of questions and then let them out, and they'd go off with the money. That's been going on for years. She documented it. They had pictures of it. Okay? So, yeah, another little element there. Go ahead, Sherry.
Well, I heard a news item. I haven't verified it, but that they've arrested 12 judges in the Southwest for taking bribes from the Sinaloa cartel.
Well, I hope so. They control Arizona. That'd be a real good first step. Folks, Trump has...
Also in Texas, I would say.
Also excellent. Trump has turned the corner of the year with Excalibur in his hand, it appears to me. I mean, these are all the things we wanted him to do a year ago after he got sworn in. But I can understand it's taking him a while to get his feet on the ground, make sure he's got some kind of handle on who the enemy is that's close to him and who's not. But he's doing real Americana things in the last week. I mean, real Americana. Getting us out of the UN. Hell, they've been trying to do that since the 60s, Sherry. I remember billboards you drive around the country that JBS put up to get us out of the UN. Did you ever see any of those? Sherry, did you go away?
No.
In the
60s? I was a young
Sherry.
age.
In the 60s, folks, they were trying to get us out of the UN. There were billboards, and that was one of the big John Birch Society things back in those years. And that's what I was telling you. If you had any question about that, what they're doing now, the guy that runs John Birch, it was started by his parents. He's influenced by his parents. And, you know, I've got different opinions on John Birch, but they do tremendous information stuff. And he was on Alex for an hour and a half or something the other day on Friday, I think, saying, I've been involved in this since I was a kid. Get us out of the UN. He went over some real specific information on that if you want to go back and watch that in case you missed it. So that's significant. The thing with BlackRock on single-family homes is almost jaw-dropping. You're going to go to Larry Fink and say, you boys can't buy any more single family homes. You're driving up the damn prices. You're keeping people out of them that would love to have them. And part of the interest rate on Jerome Powell is tied right back to the mortgage and the land situation, housing situation. You can bet it is. And I would have never expected him to do that, not only to BlackRock, which is BlackRock, Vanguard, State Streets, all three of them, but also to other large financial companies. So there's just a couple things right out the gate on turning the calendar on the new year here. They're just, I mean, they're pretty damn amazing, quite frankly. All 66 agencies of the UN, Sherry. Everyone we had contracts with and that we were funding, and he pulled the funding. Now the Guterres, all right, just a second, I hear you. Guterres, who is the head of the UN now, gets up Friday and makes a speech. Well, you're legally bound to these. Well, you know what? I'll bet you can find some fraud in there somewhere and negate any damn contracts. And besides, Trump stand up and hit him side the head. Okay? So good on you. Okay, who was the man comment? The male comment there was?
This is Carl in Utah.
Yes, sir. Carl, good morning.
Good morning. So, talking about, just real quick, what you just said about BlackRock and these big funds that are purchasing real estate. I mean, all they got to do is just cookie cutter some trusts together, and they can buy as many as they want. I mean, it's, what is it, a $20 million ceiling? They can buy 10, 15,
Carl, I don't
houses.
I don't know. I don't know any of those details on this. I just know the main headline. I've not looked into it, but yeah, they might can do some of that stuff, and maybe they can't. I don't know. We'll see how it goes forward. I mean, we know how slick and slimy they are. Okay.
They're slick and slimy. They'll have no problems.
Okay. Well, anyway,
it's just a front. It acts as a front, but looks pretty to all of us.
Okay. Well, at least he's doing something, even if it's on the surface. How about that, Carl? I hadn't seen anybody else do shit like that.
That's good.
Okay. So
that's good.
So anyway, well, I'll tell you what, it's difficult out there. Thank you, Carl. Anything else to say on that?
No, good morning. That's all.
Okay, good morning. I wanted to harken back and welcome Beth. I hope she's with us today. We had Beth, the new listener, on Saturday. We spent most of the whole show with Beth. You what, Paul?
That was a good show on Saturday.
It was. Well, those are those good Saturday shows when you got new people coming forward and you get to go back over all these basics. Notice that everybody that was listening, they didn't go, oh, they're talking about that again, I'm going to leave. They generally hang around because they get something out of it. There's your personal growth in this. Beth, if you're listening, hope you are. It's a process. The event was when you stumbled across the information and it resonated with you. The process is how you deal with it from here forward. And if you choose to walk down that path, which it seemed like you wanted to me, you will continue to grow. So you may hear these things as you in your growth process here and not get them fully for whatever reasons because you don't have enough background. And then a month later, somebody calls in, we go over the same stuff. You've grown in that interim. And you see things in that statement you didn't see the first time. That's why these people stick around, I think. And they, just want to be close to this information. And as I've said for a long time, I just don't think you can hear these basics of this stuff enough. Okay? You cannot hear them enough. And the more they indelibly imprint upon your subconscious and your conscious, that information's in there for you. And it's the fertilizer, it's the sod, if you will, for your growth and re-empowerment. So anyway, glad to have Beth. Welcome if you're with us. I hope you are. And please do not feel shy about coming forward. Beth had a very soft voice, and she's very diminutive, and so I don't want you to feel shy. I want you to get re-empowered, where you can get right in some bureaucrat's face and go, "No, I'm a national. No, no, the big word, no. I'm a national, not a citizen of the United States or a federal citizen. It takes guts sometimes, folks. So anyway, let's see here. Anything else anybody wants to bring up? I'm going to try and poll Julie. She committed to be here to give us the overview of her conversation with Dr. Willie. He is a doctor, by the way, PhD. Does not stand for.
Hey, Roger.
It does not. See if you can verify this, Julie. Jim Willie's PhD does not stand for post hole digger. Is that correct? Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Okay. Welcome. Good morning. Happy Monday.
Good morning. I hope you had a nice weekend. I have to have a little bit more time, Roger. This weekend I wanted to pull together a bunch of stuff and I didn't have the time to do it. I had some issues that I had to deal with over the weekend, but I will definitely give a little week. I recorded it. I need to go back over a couple of things because he was all over the place. And I need to go back over my notes on that, and I just didn't. I had work-related duties this weekend, so I will do that this week. I do promise that. And I want to get together what he had to say about Venezuela, because it wasn't just about the oil. It was about, it's 7 different things. And then I was listening to Stu Peters over the weekend when I was in travel en route to a few things, and Stu, of course, is really upset about the CIA in the United States just going over and flooding all these countries and stealing everything. But I think what a lot of people don't remember is the executive orders that Trump instituted in his first when he was in office the first time, the 13818 and the 13848, and one was about election interference. Well, apparently,
I remember that.
So apparently, Venezuela is involved in flipping the elections and affecting the elections in over 79 different countries, along with Cuba.
Correct.
And so, if you look at the executive order, you get your assets seized. So I don't know. I'm not clairvoyant here, but perhaps maybe he's going down there and he's seizing the assets.
Well, they owed us $5 billion from a court case from a few decades ago that they stole, evidently. There's other reasons. Did you happen, by any chance, in all your travels this weekend and obligations, did you happen to check out the Chihuahua yesterday?
I didn't, and I also wanted to listen to Robert Barnes, and I didn't have a chance to listen to that last night. I was going to ask you if you got a chance to listen to him last night. I think he had tens of thousands of people live on his show last night.
I listened to part of it until I just got so sleepy I had to go to bed, so I haven't finished it yet. I got 49 minutes into it or something. The first subject they really talked about when he got past Viva's fluff there at the front, the first real issue they were talking about was Venezuela. I would encourage everyone, and I even went out and stretched out. I actually extended my circle and sent that Alex Newman interview to Samuel, who Samuel and I have some disagreement on this. We see it differently, and I was hoping Mr. Newman maybe gave him some foundations, because he goes over all those 7 things and hangs a lot of it straight on Cuba. Okay, so that is worth listening to, audience. The Chihuahua is Greg Hunter. He was named that by Daryl years ago. I always thought it was very appropriate. USAWatchdog.com, and Alex Newman is the guy that works and writes. He's a really good writer and researcher, folks, and he works hand in hand with John Birch. He goes to all these conferences on all these damn different areas of all these agencies that Trump just pulled us out of. That's why he was saying he was at the big deal of climate change a couple of months ago in Brazil. And he said it was strange. There was no U.S. representation there for the first time. Why not? Well, they already had this plans to yank us out of the UN in the works, I would imagine. Okay. So, anyway, that's a little bit of what's happening. Highly encourage you, if you really want to get a good handle and a really Alex Newman's very sharp, folks. He's incredibly well read. He's incredibly educated, and he's a great writer. And I encourage you to watch what he has to say. He's like, remember, I heard it alluded to just over the weekend, Julie. I think you're probably young enough. Sherry wasn't young enough to remember the '60s. Are you young enough to remember? Old enough to remember when E.F. Hutton speaks? Everyone listens.
No, I was
Remember
born
that?
in the 70s. I was born in the 70s.
Okay, well, you're still a little wet behind the ears there. Are you familiar with the E.F. Hutton thing?
No.
Okay, E.F. Hutton was a big investment company, and they did a whole campaign on people in a restaurant. You know, they're in a restaurant, big crowded restaurant, and two guys are sitting at the table, and one guy's going, well, E.F. Hutton says, and the whole damn restaurant goes quiet. And the line was, when E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen. So it's one of those kind of things, you know. Boy, amazing. So what else, Julie, you got to relate to us this morning? You have any idea? Are you real busy? I mean, are all these houses starting to close now because we got activity and stuff, or what?
No, our housing market's on fire here.
Is it? Well, you know,
just because of jobs and all of that stuff. I mean, some of the higher priced homes, the number of days on the market's gone up for the higher priced homes, and also because of interest rates. But
sure,
you know, other than that, for the most part, the market's pretty much not a lot of inventory. In certain areas, yes. In certain zip codes, yes. But for the most part, we're in a very strong market.
All right, I heard a hey, Roger there. Hold on just a second. Years ago, I went up to the National Association of Broadcasters convention, annual convention in D.C. that year. And I was flying up there, and I was sitting next to a banker. And we got into these discussions, you know, and he goes, Washington, D.C. is the only city that will never go bankrupt, not suffer inflation or can't be affected or whatever he said. It was a very unique situation because all the funds that flow through up there. And that was the convention. I was very privileged and honored to hear Paul Harvey, when he was still alive, did the keynote speech at that convention. I got to witness and hear that speech. He's quite a guy, Paul Harvey. Yes, who was the fellow that wanted to say something there?
Yeah, hi, Roger. It's Boone. On that E.F. Hutton campaign you're referencing,
yeah, man.
Another little jingle they've had is, we earn money the old-fashioned way. We earn it.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, as opposed to the new-fashioned way where they just flat-ass steal it.
Exactly.
Thank you, bud.
I thought I'd throw that out.
I'd forgotten that one. Yeah, we earn money the old-fashioned way. Yeah, you sure do. We earn money the Jewish way. We steal it, you stupid goy. So give it to us. You give us your money. What do you expect us to do? We're going to steal it. You cow. You're a cow. All right, Julie. Well, we're going to hold you on the line on this little overview of your conversation with the venerable Mr. Jim Willis.
No, I will.
Who's quite a character. Now, I wanted to ask you a question.
More often with him.
Are you?
Talking more often with him.
Okay. Now,
yeah, I've known him for a long time.
Okay. Well, one thing I want, well, in that case, I'm sure I can answer my own question. You paid for a 30-minute consult and got 3 hours of conversation, right?
Yeah, but I've donated to him before, and you know, he's a really good guy. You know, he helps out people, his lady friend and stuff. And he helps out a lot of people. So
I've been listening to Willie. I've been listening to Willie since not too long after you were born. Okay, so I'm real familiar with the guy. We had a nice email relationship when I was in Argentina, but I never could get his damn attention. I'm sure female probably gets his attention a little easier. I can understand that. You're right about him doing that. You know, one thing that got him into really big trouble down there financially, when he's helping all these people out like you say he wants to and does, and he
Yeah.
invested in some business or something out in another province. I don't know what they call them there in Costa Rica. Maybe Joan can enlighten us. But they have no central recording of property ownership in Costa Rica. Let me repeat that. They have no central registration of property ownership in the country of Puerto Rico or Costa Rica. It's all done in the provinces or whatever they call them. And so you could do that and have some problems with it, and you wouldn't even know about it because there's no central registry. It cost him over $100,000. I know. I remember him talking about it. Whatever happened, I don't remember all the details, but put Mr. Willie in a hole there. But he is a good guy. He can really get off on a tangent. He knows his stuff pretty much. I wish I tried, Julie. What I was trying to do is get his attention to explain our stuff to him. It seems to me like all these people that are in the financial industry with all this speculation and everything else they're doing, advising clients and stuff, that they ought to know how the damn financial system works. Would you think that'd be a good idea?
Yeah, but the problem with Jim is Jim only goes on other people's podcasts. He doesn't have his own show. And he really ought to have his own show. The knowledge that he has and the depth that he has, but he just doesn't do that. He gets paid. People pay him to go on other shows, and he does his Hat-Trick newsletter, and then he asks for donations. So,
yeah.
And then there's a lot of people stealing his content out there, and then there's a lot of, I don't know if it's the C-letter agency or whatever, but he's had so many fires at his house and so many car crashes, and he thinks they're targeting him.
Yeah.
For the stuff he talks about child sex trafficking and stuff like that.
Well, he very well may be correct. Well,
So, but he's
good guy, Mr. Willie.
Very smart guy.
I saw him. Well, I was familiar with him when he came back on the scene in the '90s, if I remember right. Been following him for years. He's funny to watch. So anyway, we'll look forward to whatever little juicy insights you can give us there, Julie, when you review the tape and want to come on and lay some good information on us straight from Dr. Willie's mouth. What do you say, buy silver?
I have to go back to my notes on the financial aspects of that.
Okay.
So,
well, this is Rogers, and I ain't no big time prognosticator. You don't really have to be in this arena. Buy silver. Buy silver, and if you can't afford silver,
I think it's a very good idea. I think it's a very good idea to buy silver. He thinks that I think I don't want to give numbers out until I go back and look over my notes, but I think he said something about $1,000 for silver. That silver will go up to around $1,000. I personally think it might go higher than that.
10 times what it is now, and it's now 10 times what it is back when I was messing around with this stuff. I told y'all I used to get up in front of our CCG group, which had a pretty good number of people there. We had the biggest meeting we ever had was after the Oklahoma City bombing. I think we had like 250 people there. That's pretty good for back in those days. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you can't afford to buy silver and you've still got some shekels left, buy copper. Copper's next in line, and it's going to come right up there too. Platinum is going nuts in Europe. Do you know why? Did he mention that in your phone call, Julie? Why platinum is going nuts in Europe?
No, we didn't talk about platinum on the call at all. But
okay.
Isn't that used in some sort of industrialized?
No, it's because they've outlawed taking gold and silver out of Europe, so people are buying platinum.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, interesting times, folks. You can secure yourself for the future even with a little bit of financial wherewithal if you'll simply buy copper. I don't know what copper is or where you buy it or from who, but I'm sure you can get it out there if you ask around. One of these metals dealers will have some connection to it, and that's going to be as these AI things and everything else explodes around the country. around the world. The copper's going to go back into demand. You happen to know? I don't know for sure, but I'm going to guess. Somebody can look it up on ask one of the AIs about it. Which country's the big copper producer? Really?
Hey, Roger.
Hold on, Gary. Let me get this answer from Julie here. Which country's the big copper producer?
That I don't know, Roger.
Chile, owned by the Rockefellers. Hey, Gary. Good morning. Happy morning week on Monday.
Good morning. Copper, you can get copper rounds at the same place you can get silver rounds, your local coin shop. Also, if you want a cheap way, start sorting your pennies. All pennies 1983 and prior are 100% copper.
There's
You
a
didn't
good tip.
start using white metal until after 83.
Okay.
So just start sorting your change.
Okay. Did not know that year and that change, but yes, that's probably about right, and that's probably a good idea. So anyway, there you go. Although you better do it damn quick because pennies are going to disappear eventually up there, aren't they? Gary, aren't they already adjusting businesses for this no minting of pennies anymore? We're just rounding it up to the next nickel thing. Isn't that right, Julie? We were talking about it on here one day not too long ago.
Yes, even Walmart here in Kalispell's got a sign up saying that they would round up or whatever and then donate remainder to somebody or something because pennies, the scarcity of pennies.
Well, there you go.
They're not accepting pennies, and they're not accepting pennies in many stores here now. They stopped, so they just round up in your favor.
Okay. Well, so there's going to be a diminishing supply to search for those 83 and before, so you better get out there and do it quick. But that's another way to look if you got financial situation you can't belly up to the bar on $100 silver. Jeez almighty. Then copper is probably a good way to go. Yes, Julie. Yes, Julie.
If you want to buy silver eagles today on moneymetals.com, you're going to pay $99.39.
Wow, I would thought it'd be higher than that. If I'd be in the 110 20 range. So okay. Oh well.
Comment.
Yeah, if you're gonna buy silver, you better hurry because you just about missed the boat on the low end stuff. Who's that, Mr. D? Was that Mr. D? I heard with a comment request.
Oh, there you go again, Roger. Confusing Wayne with
Wayne, you and Tom, you gotta quit sounding so much alike, Dad. I mean, you're fooling me. Hey, Wayne.
Well, we're two Northerners down in Texas, so we're having a hard time with our dialect.
Okay, I can understand that.
But just wanted to make a comment. I find Jim Willie pretty informing and entertaining, but by far, I think the best two analysts are Andy Scheckman and Bill Holter. Scheckman especially because he's really leading edge on talking about the BRICS and Enbridge and all these things that are going to be hitting us here pretty soon, if not in effect now. But he's been talking about that for the last 2 to 3 years, and nobody's come close to him. And Holter is, straight to the point, no BS, no nothing. When you listen to a Holter interview, you get a lot of information.
Holter is 100% pure Texan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good guy.
Okay.
But also want to let you know how old I am. I did actually work at E.F. Hutton back in the day.
You did? Oh, my Lord. I didn't perceive that you were like Methuselah.
Yeah, sure am. But working at a brokerage like that was really eye-opening for some of the tricks and some of the scams that go on. The one I'll never forget is guys that were selling annuities to these old widows who had a lot of money. Well, annuities are pretty long-term type investments, but these guys would come in like on a Monday saying, "Oh, I had a rough weekend. I got to go resell this Mrs. So-and-so a new annuity, cash her out of the old one and put her into a new one." And it was always just a quick way to get big commissions real quick, and they had these ladies totally under their spell. So I found that pretty disgusting at the time when I was there.
It's like a Jesuit priest at the bedside of a dying widow. Here, let me get your hand and sign this deed over.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
infamous. I'm not kidding. They're infamous for that, folks. The Jesuits who in their oath. Have you ever read the Jesuit oath, Wayne?
I might have a long time ago, but I don't recall, to be honest with you.
It's pretty amazing. It says it addresses that point. It said we on the outside we don't care, but boy, on the inside we want all this property. Oh, they're such crooks.
Absolutely. Thanks, Roger.
Yeah. What you got? Anything else to addendum here, Wayne, for us?
Not yet. Not just during the day, but just kind of watching the news and all that. But
right.
I think from what I'm reading, the welfare and healthcare frauds now they're hitting New York. They're finding out the stuff going on in New York. Could be much more than Minnesota. As well as California. I think California is the mother lode of welfare fraud.
Probably doing a bunch of it in Texas too, I believe, Wayne. And it seems like somebody said it was going to be approaching $100 billion that they've turned on now.
Would not doubt it a bit.
Well, that's a tenth of $1 trillion right there. So yeah, and guess what? It all goes back. Part of it goes back to both sides of the political aisle. Guess who they found? Who was it? Somebody went into Louisiana. Was it Barnes or somebody went into Louisiana? And part of the grift there was going back to Mike Johnson. So even the Speaker of the House is good. Yeah. Pretty amazing.
Surprising at all with that joker.
One kid in his 20s. What was the kid's name in Minneapolis? With a cell phone and another patriot that had been researching public records, and they're the ones that have done all this damage, or at least started it. One guy with an Apple cell phone, I guess. It must have been a new 17 with a new camera, like they're trying to get everybody into. Anyway, it's good. Just sit back and watch the fireworks, folks. It's open. It's going from here. They tried to take this woman, this vegetarian that got shot in the face for being stupid. Tried to get her up on the podium of George Floyd. Couldn't do it. She's a white woman, first of all. Secondly, she did hit the people. The pictures came out, so they can't get out there without getting egg on their face. So they'll sit back and wait for another one. Probably what's going to happen is one of the crowds and the demonstrations that are spinning off of this, they're going to get out there and shoot a few people on their own and do a false flag. I mean, that's a perfect setup for a false flag right there. Okay.
Roger?
Yes, Julie.
Sorry for diverting back to the silver stuff. I don't know if you know this, but Costco sold out of all of everywhere. They sold out of all their silver in 72 hours. It was millions of ounces. 72 hours, it's all gone.
I did not hear that. Who was that? Costco?
Yep. Yeah, they had a run on all of their silver that they sold, so
after the news hit this week and the price started skyrocketing, and people go to that outlet. Yep. Okay, I understand that. Well, I've been banging on the drum for 15 years here for people to buy metals. I hope some of you took advantage of the lower prices. You're smiling now. Who is it? Was it Holter, Wayne? I saw interviewed, and he said some of his customers it might have been Pete Elliott. Some of his customers are coming back to him and profusely thanking him because they can do unbelievable things with their retirement that they never could do before. So, yeah, I'll tell you the rare ones. I think isn't it 1995 Silver Eagles that are so rare, Wayne?
Yeah, I'm not sure that, Roger. That's a new one on me. I have to check that out.
Well, you need to. I'll tell you why, where I heard about it. We were doing those expos and selling silver on. And along the way, Robbie Noel, who I was fortunate enough to do some shows with, I really admired Robbie. Robbie had sold some customer. He'd cashed in his 401k or something, and he bought like 10 green monster boxes. and some of them, about half of them, were 1995, I think. It was a very scarce year for silver liberties. They didn't mint very many for whatever reason. And I wish I could remember the numbers, but he sold a couple of those boxes of 95s and just totally dwarfed everything he'd put into it or what the other silver would bring. So there's a very rare issue. I'm pretty sure it's 1995. If you can find any of those, woo, grab them and quick. Okay. Because they've got numerous.
And I think it was Elliot. I think it was Elliot that talked about the fact people are profusely thanking him. I think they made so much money on their investments. They probably bought, 20 years ago, but the actual increases helped them pay off mortgages and just live a lot more comfortable in their retirement years than they would have. So
I'll tell you, if you bought silver in the teens or 20s, you're doing pretty good right now, aren't you? You better believe it.
Absolutely.
Now, I've told the story before that when we were in our CCG meetings there in Atlanta, Citizens for Constitutional Georgia, that's what that stood for. I'd get up in front of the meeting and I had a coin connection. I was into coins anyway. I was into this back then, and I had a coin dealer I'd connected with at a coin show or something, and I'd go buy silver green monster boxes from him. I wouldn't do it on my own funds. I'd get up in front of the meeting and say, we got silver at, I don't remember, $4 an ounce or something. And they'd come back and give me the money, and I'd go buy it and bring it back in subsequent weeks and give it to them. But I had it set up where I'd make about 50 cents a coin. Okay. And we were buying those things at $3.50, Wayne. $3.50 for 500 silver eagles. Now, this silver on cloth, there's another aspect of this, folks. The silver on cloth, which is so good to me, all that cloth, that I've still got some, was all plated at $3.50 an ounce. Well, you can imagine what that has done with the price going up to those people that know how to plate cloth. There's not many of them. So here's another suggestion. There's, for your own house and your own medical stuff, is it, Paul, I got to come back to you, is it less EMF or no EMF.com? I think it's less EMF.com, right? Can somebody give me some help here? You know. Okay. There is a company, I believe it's lessemf.com. Maybe no EMF. Is that right, Brent? It was less, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Brent. And they plate cloth. They do copper, they do silver, they may do others, but you can go buy plated cloth there. Okay, and they've got a medical grade of plated cloth. The cloth that Silverlawn used to do is 99.9% silver, 1% silver oxide, 0.1%. Anyway, they've got this less EMF, and you should have some of that in your home. You don't have to buy too much of it. You can reuse it. But it would be very wise to have some of that in your home for anything that might happen. Burns especially. Nothing can touch burns like this cloth can do. Okay? And on a burn, you would wet it first with as clean water as you can get. Wet it first because that kick starts the conductivity, because water's a conductor also. And you put that on the burn as quick as you can get it on there. And even third-degree burns, the pain will go away within 30 minutes. Okay? So you buy some of that if you can. Be very wise to have some. If you can't even afford that, aluminum foil will almost do the same thing. So you can take the shiny side of aluminum foil, you get a wound or a laceration or something. In this configuration, you would want to also have some colloidal silver that will take up one of the elements that the aluminum foil can't fulfill. And that would be the antibacterial and microbial aspects, because aluminum foil doesn't give off silver ions. But colloidal silver would. So you put a little colloidal silver on that area, and then you wrap it or put aluminum foil on it with the shiny side on the skin. The shiny side of the aluminum foil on with skin contact. And if you try that, you'll be damn glad you were listening to the show when we talked about it. This stuff's miraculous. LessEMF.com is your best source. They've got a medical grade of plated silver. I would get it while the inventory they've got was printed at a lower silver price, because they're going to have to adjust the silver price at some point.
Hey, Raj.
Yes, a few suggestions. Paul?
Another thing that aluminum foil will do is it reflects radiant heat. So if you put it on a burn and you're out in the sunlight will reflect off of the aluminum and will not heat it. It will actually protect the burn from further damage while it's healing.
Okay. Well, I mean, I told y'all the story. I've got these pictures that Flick had, and I absconded with them, 4 series of these incidents, to use at the expos and the places I was selling to and customers. And they were just back before it got FDA approval, and some of them were on animals, and some dentists used it that were big investors. And one of the series, all 4 of them are just stunning. You better not get upset by blood and guts if you want to look at these. But one of them was on 4th of July. Now, Dr. Flick lives up in Clayton, Georgia, which is right on the Chattooga River, which is the border of South Carolina and Georgia there. It's where Deliverance was shot. If you remember the movie Deliverance, it's on the Chattooga there. I rafted it a few times. Pretty cool. And anyway, that's where he lives, a little town of Clayton. And it was 4th of July. A lot of people from Atlanta area go up to the north part of Georgia. It's a lovely part of the state. It's a place I would have considered moving to if I wouldn't have moved out of the country. North Georgia, up in that area of the Appalachians, Idaho, possibly, out where Gary is. Some of that stuff, anyway, I didn't like there, but I did spend a bit of time up there while I was working with Dr. Flick, and I got these pictures. And it was a family who was camping outside of town on the 4th of July. And their child, and I don't remember how the child was very young, I don't remember. He rolled into the campfire. Now you can imagine, okay? And the poor little thing, his hands were blistered, and you could see where he had 3rd-degree burns, where one of his calves hit a rock that had been on the edge of the fire, and he just had burns all over him, you know. Well, the mother is apoplectic, you know, the burn is the most painful injury you can have. And so they're out of town. They go driving into town, probably breaking every speed limit. One store's open was pharmacy. And the pharmacy said, well, you need to go see Dr. Flick. He's right down that road down there by the lake. There's a lake up there called Lake Raven. And so she goes down, and Flick has a little clinic, a little office under his house there. And they go in, and he wraps the child all those places with Silverlawn. And Paul, within 30 minutes, the child was asleep in his mother's arms. That's how powerful this stuff is, okay? Especially with burns. And so, anyway, he gave the mom enough Silverlawn to change it. You can reuse it and stuff, but Flick gave her a bunch. And she took that child home and treated all those. His hands were blistered. His little legs had this 3rd-degree burn. I don't remember all the others. It's a real ugly picture. It'd make you want to start crying if you look at it, quite frankly. But the mom took the Silverlawn, and they went back, and the child never went to a hospital. Never.
Wow.
And you can't even tell the burns are there. Now, it's very serious stuff I'm talking about here. Okay?
Oh,
So I could tell you some of the others. They're just phenomenal pictures. And he did very professional. When he took the pictures on the development, he had a little date stamp on there. There's a sequence of the healing and all that stuff. We had one guy regrow a finger, Paul. he worked in the adjacent county, and they had they built prison doors, and so he had the contract for workman's comp with Dr. Flick, and the guy got the end of his finger right about where your nail goes into the bed right there.
Mm-hmm.
He got all that. He didn't chop it off. He got it caught in a 4,000-pound metal press and pressed it off.
Ouch.
So he goes to Dr. Flick, adjacent county. He goes to Dr. Flick, and Flick puts this silver cloth on there. The guy goes back to work. He wasn't working on the press, but he went back to work, and he never drew a day's workman's compensation. His finger grew back. Now, if you see that picture at the end, you go, oh, my God, that guy grew a finger back. Well, kids can do that occasionally, okay? And so at the picture at the end, he's got his fingernail there, and the dirt is under his fingernail. And Flick goes, well, the important part of this picture is not that he grew his finger back. Well, what? The important part of that picture is not that he grew his finger back. It's that he had dirt under his fingernail, Paul. And that symbolizes that he had no neuroma. Sometimes when you grow a digit back, the nerves at the end will bundle, and it's very painful to use, and it's called a neuroma, I believe. And he goes, well, you see, he didn't have a neuroma because he's using the finger because there's dirt under his fingernails. Now, the very first show, I'd seen these pictures. The very first show I did was up at Kennesaw, where, you know, if you live in Kennesaw, Paul, you got to have a gun. Did you know that? They passed a city ordinance in Kennesaw. Boy, when you and I were there, Brent, 30 years ago, if you live in Kennesaw, you got to have a gun. And you know what happened? The crime rates dropped off of the cliff.
Yep. Well, yeah, there wasn't any easy pickings anymore.
Kennesaw, Georgia, you got to have a gun. There's our little here, Whistler there. Would you like to tell our folks bye-bye, and we'll pick this up on the other side? I got some more things to tell you.
106.9 WBOU FM in Chicago, HomeNetwork.tv, FreedomNation.tv, Go Live TV, and StreamLife.tube. Thank you so much for joining us for the first hour. We hope you stick around for the second hour, but if you don't, go to thematrixdocs.com and click on either the Global Voice Radio link or the Eurofolk Radio link and follow us into the second hour. 106.9 WBOU FM Chicago and the Net Family of Broadcast Services. Thanks so much.
Now, thank you, folks. I hope you stick around. You're going to get to hear this latest part here, which may really help you. I'm doing the first show that I did at a gun show where I had the product there, and we had a little flyer made and with some of those pictures on there. And one of the series we put on there was this guy that got his finger pressed off. And I'm green as a twig trying to introduce this stuff to the public. And we got those flyers sitting there, and a guy walks by and he goes, oh, you regrew a digit, huh? And then I'm ready to jump on him, right, and tell him everything. And so we get in this conversation, and he goes, well, I did that. He held up a finger. He goes, I did that with this finger right here. I was shocked, you know. And he goes, yeah, I cut it off, and I went to this doctor, and he said, put aluminum foil on it. I don't know why it works, but it works. And he regrew the digit. So here's another use for this stuff. That's the reason the guy, the conductivity. Conductivity in the body is the big deal here. And that's what Flick really stumbled on with his, who was the guy that wrote? His medical advisor at school, when he's going through medical school, was Dr. Robert Becker. And I'm sure that some of you hadn't been around a long time or are not familiar with Dr. Becker. He had a cult following back in those days, and Flick just happened to be in law school, and he was one of his teachers. And this is funny. He wanted Becker. He wrote a book, by the way, called The Body Electric that probably some of you have heard about. So he wanted Becker to be his advisor, his medical advisor, you know. And so he goes up to his office door, and he knocks, and Becker goes, "Who is it?" He says, "It's Bart Flick." He says, "Get out of here! I hate medical students." And so he ended up being his medical